Hi, my name is Tiberiu Kim. I'm a Plone and Volto developer working with AutoWeb Romania. I'm a core Volto contributor and I've been developing websites with Volto for a little more than a year. We've been working this summer for a new Volto-powered website, the Biodiversity Information System for Europe, and volto-slate is one of the many open source products that were developed as part of that project. Volto-slate is a replacement for the default rich text line editor, the one that's used for the text blocks. And this is important, it is not a replacement for the whole Volto Pastanaga composite page editor, it's just a replacement for the paragraph editor. When you install volto-slate, it's not that different from the default editor. It has a few more buttons, but it looks and feels more or less like the default. Some things to consider before we continue. Volto is a big evolutionary step for Plone, and that's not just because it integrates with the latest of the front-end development world, but also because it allows us to work with concepts and solutions that were not in our reach as Plone developers. Before Volto, we didn't consider the rich text editor as one of the special building blocks of an application. But the Pastanaga composite page editor, it places it right in our face. Here's your text. Add anything to it. You can build your page around it. And that's a huge potential just waiting for us. I'm going to show you just two examples of the potential that this brings. First is volto-slate metadata mentions, which is a product that allows you to insert dexterity metadata fields in text blocks. The second example is volto-slate data entity, and this is a product that provides integration with tabular data coming from CSV files or a REST exposed SQL database. So the editors are able to integrate text with values coming from database or metadata fields, and in their final render, the values will respect the styling given to their placeholder text. Let's look at volto-slate in action and see what are its immediate benefits. Slate itself is just a library that you can use to build an editor. It doesn't provide the default editor, so naturally, volto-slate evolved from the start as a rich text editor designed to fit Volto. That means we can split paragraphs into separate blocks, join two separate blocks into a single paragraph, and sublists, for example. A lot of work has gone into the copy-paste support for volto-slate. We understand what Volto is, so we know what type of block you should get when you copy-paste something, and we provide a framework to extend these capabilities. Right now we integrate with two types of Volto blocks, tables and images, but that's something that you can extend. And there's a ton of really small details that matter, like consistent up and down arrow keys behavior, and when you click in a text box, the cursor will stick to that clicked position. I think it's important to clarify why we chose to implement a new editor instead of improving the existing one, and there are multiple reasons for this. With Slate, we get a better plugin framework, and this is really important for us. You can see from this code fragment how easy it is to override the built-in behavior. Plugins are just wrappers around the editor, so they have access to the default behavior and they can override that behavior. So with Slate, we get a library that's meant to be used for a custom pluggable editor, and that's in contrast to Draft.js from my experience, where it's kind of difficult to build custom plugins and it's kind of difficult to connect them to the editor. So that's why Volto needs to use another third-party library, the Draft.js plugins. Slate has a simple DOM-like storage for its values, so we were able to implement the paste support quite easily as it maps very cleanly to parsed HTML nodes. While with Draft.js, it stores its data in a very elegant format, but it requires a special dedicated library to be able to render these values to the final output, and this introduces its own set of problems and bugs. And because of a simpler data model, look how simple it can be to render the Slate values to their final output. Just traverse the tree and use the original React components. Okay, so here are the bad parts. Right now we don't have any migration of any kind, so it's not possible to migrate existing content to volto-slate, but volto-slate can coexist with Draft on a Volto website. Also, right now it's not possible to completely remove or replace Draft.js out of Volto. We already have an HTML parser inside volto-slate as we use it for the copy-paste support, and the algorithms are very straightforward thanks to the tree-based storage model. So it was just a matter of no reason to do it until now. Thank you.